All right, guys, I'm way behind the curve on this one. We're not even going to start like I usually do with what I'm carrying. We're just going to jump straight into this because I think this is going to be a video where most people are going to want to focus on what I have to say about this knife. This is the Koenig Arius, and maybe I'm messing that name up, maybe I'm not. This is a knife that I picked up, and I'm actually just handling for a buddy before I ship it off to him. He asked me to pick it up. I picked it up from a company called Hellacious Blades. They had great service. I called them. They answered all my questions. No issues whatsoever. So I would check them out definitely if you're interested in checking out one of these knives or one of the brands that they carry. I know that one of my friends told me they also carry Chris Reeve and some brands like that. So just you know, just for whatever that's worth. But like I said, good company, nothing bad to say about them at all. On to the knife. I picked this knife up for my buddy, like I said. The first thing that kind of caught me off guard was the knife was already in the $550 ballpark, and then because I'm in the same state as the place that sold it to me, I had to pay tax. So I ended up, at the end of the day, paying $599.20 for this particular knife. Now, we'll get into that in a second. Let me show you how the knife comes. We'll get into that in a minute. The knife comes in this box, very nice box, magnetic closure. This is the 3-groove pattern, dark wash. I guess BB is bead blasted backspacer and clip, DLC pivot, and DLC Distress CTS XHP blade steel. This is made in the United States. From my understanding, the gentleman that owns this company, he started off kind of dabbling on his own, and then that turned into him going down to Idaho and working. I don't know. It's unclear. It's like nobody wants to say it was Chris Reeve, but that's the only maker that I know, especially the way they're talking about him. That's the only maker I know in Idaho. But anyway, he went down to Idaho off and on for a few years, tinkered around down there, perfected his craft, and came back to his own shop to make high quality production CNC made knives. And I want to repeat that. High quality production made CNC knives, and he even references that if you go to his website and read his website, that these are, even at the $600 price point, between $500 and $575, depending on what your options are, price range knives. So take that for what it's worth. But anyway, made in America, guy started in his own shop, dabbled in Idaho, came back, and now he makes high quality CNC made production knives, customizable CNC made production knives. So like I said, there's a magnetic flap here. The knife comes with the card. And this one here, you can see the model is the Arius, or Arius, however you want to pronounce it. Blade steel CTS XHP. Handle is your typical titanium. This is not a numbered model, and this came off the line on 7/17/18, so almost a month to the date that we're talking about it. The knife comes, and I'll kind of show you guys, it comes wrapped in this cloth, kind of like so. You know how it is, you never can get anything back in the packaging the way it came to you, but it kind of comes like this with that Koenig branding on the microfiber cloth. This is just a nice big piece of foam. It feels like 2 different pieces. So good presentation. Here's the knife itself. Oh, one other thing. There's a sticker in here as well, if that matters to you. But the knife. Before I jump into my thoughts on the knife, let me give you a 360 view around the knife. All right, let's jump back in. This knife was something that when I first saw it, and I'll flip it open. The action is amazing. When I first saw it, it just did not catch my eye. And if you've looked at my channel, anything that looks kind of futuristic like this, I don't tend to gravitate towards. I'm pretty much a straight line, more tactical folder kind of guy. But the more I handle this knife, the more it grew on me. Is it something that I'm going to go out and buy tomorrow? No, I'm not. And I know that's surprising because this is a very popular model and a very popular company, and it's actually pretty hard to come by these knives. But with that said, I'm going to jump into my thoughts on the particular knife. The first thing that I thought when I opened it up and pulled it out of the box is I heard all about this action. It has ceramic ball bearings and a ceramic detent, so it's supposed to be very, very smooth. So you see how it flies out, and I have not tried to push button it, but if you push button it or if you flick it, light switch it, it opens up. Now, when it's open, this is one thing, my first kind of concern, and I don't know how well that's going to show up there, but the lockup, as you can see, is pretty doggone early. Now it's solid. This is not my knife, so I'm not going to spine whack it, but it's not gonna fail on you. It doesn't rattle or anything like that. It is solid, but with this knife being a titanium 3.5 inch blade knife, I'm thinking that I'm probably gonna use this knife fairly hard, and I don't know if that inspires the most confidence for me. Now that's not saying that I've had any issues with this knife, because this knife has been flawless, 0 issues, perfect. Can't complain about anything. But for a knife that might be pressed into a harder use roll, I might be a little bit leery of this lockup, or how early it is. It's solid, but it's early. Now, back to the action. When I first opened the box and took the knife out of the package, and mind you, this has not been in my pocket, so it doesn't have any pocket lint or anything like that. When I fondled it, it's been in the recliner. I put it back in the box when I get done with it, so there's no pocket lint or anything like that. Just pure flipping and putting it back in the box. So it flies open still. When I first got the knife, it dropped closed about that easy, and I think it might be the angle that I'm at now, but it used to drop closed when I held it like this. Now it does not. As you can see, I had to kind of shake it a little bit. When I first got the knife and opened it up, it closed very smoothly and very fluidly. So I don't know if the finish on the blade has kind of gunked up, or I don't know, but it's not quite as smooth as it was when I first got the knife. Still very smooth, still smoother than most knives, but it's not it's not as smooth as it was when I first got the knife. So I don't know if maybe over months of use, it'll go back to that and even more. I have not oiled this, so I'm sure if I put some nano oil in this pivot, it would do great. But that's the action. Take it for what it's worth. From the action, I'll move on to the blade itself. Now, this was one of the more impressive parts of this knife to me. Like I said, this is a titanium frame lock flipper, so usually these knives are a little bit more heavy duty. This knife has a high hollow grind, and it comes down to a very, very, very fine edge, and I mean that edge is fine probably from here, just under the initial start of this primary grind, all the way down to the edge. So it's very thin, and I can show you that here. You can see just how thin this knife really is on that edge. You can see that there. It's highly refined as far as the edge goes. The primary grind goes. Now, my gripe comes in with the secondary bevel here. This knife, like I said, keep in mind, this particular knife out the door cost me $599 and some change. Check this out. Can you see that line on my thumb? So you can tell I'm not screwing around. I'm pressing down on this knife. It does not cut me. This knife is not what I would consider sharp. I have not cut anything with this knife. I've only flipped it, handled it, looked at it, etc. I do have a piece of phone book paper here, and I wanted to check it out on camera. This is the first time this knife has cut anything since it came to me from Hellacious Blades. I did not go to Hellacious Blades. I picked it up, they mailed it to me, so I don't think they would have sold me a demo, but I wasn't there. It was shipped to me. So you can kind of see it does cut the phone book paper, but it's not an excellent, it's not a very smooth cut, and it won't cut all the way through. So this knife is not what I would personally consider sharp. Again, we're talking about a $599 high-end customizable production knife. That's an issue for me. I can't lie to you. Now I do, I have owned the Wicked Edge for about 7 or 8 years, and I've finally replaced it with a Wicked Edge commercial that should be here on Monday. So is that the end of the world? Could I put an edge on it? Absolutely. But this is a $599 high-end customizable production knife. That's an issue in my book. So the action is good. Like I said, it's not quite as good as when I pulled it out the box. I don't know if maybe over some months it'll break in even more. The blade is not sharp. Again, I'll show you. Like I said, I'm pressing down pretty hard. You can see there the line on my thumb. Let me rub it off. There's my thumb. And again, there's the line on the thumb. It's not what I would consider sharp. And like I said, this is a pretty doggone thin blade. So if this knife was sharp, I mean, that knife would split me wide open if I pressed down on it that hard. So excellent geometry, just the edge is not sharp. I mean, even that, I'm rubbing my finger along the edge and it's not cutting me, it's not even tearing up any skin. So not a sharp edge. You can open it using this hole right here, as long as you keep your fingers off the lock bar. So I'll do it left-handed to show you guys. It's not the most comfortable thing. If you're right-handed, I find it pretty difficult. It's doable, but it wouldn't be my preferred method to open it. I would probably use the flipper, and like I said, you can light switch it. It's not an issue. One of the standout parts of this knife that I saw as I handled the knife is the milling. Now, keep in mind, like I said, he specifically went and focused on making CNC made knives. So his CNC skills are excellent. There's a very fine texture you can see overall on the handle scale. These also have the 3 grooves in the handle scale. The pocket clip is milled very well. Or I'm sorry, not pocket clip. The back spacer is milled very well. It just fits right into the line of the handle, and it doesn't intrude. Actually, it's almost like an extension of the handle. So it's pretty excellent. The clip, I really do like this clip. I'm a fan of spring clips. I'm not really a huge fan of milled clips, but this milled clip almost mimics a spring clip. You can see just how springy that clip is. And like I said, I have not put this in the pocket, so I am remiss for that. I'll probably cut that in at the end of the video where I put it in my pocket, and I'll give you some thoughts on that. But the groove here also mimics the groove here, so everything kind of lines up. Again, you have that milled finish overall on the knife, and the 3 lines that match up with the other side here. So again, very precision made piece of hardware. You can see that on the top there is some relief cuts made here, some chamfering here. That feels excellent. When you flip this knife, your finger falls right into a smooth recessed area. So that's excellent. The other thing that also feels excellent is the jimping on the lock bar here. First and foremost, you can see this scale is different from this scale, and they've actually taken the time to make a relief here so you can access this the lock bar to disengage it. And this milling on this lock bar itself is amazing. It almost feels like an insert or something like that. It's very grippy without being overly so. There is also an over travel stop and an insert in here, so that's pretty cool as well. The pivot is D-shaped, so that way this part doesn't spin when you tighten the screw. There are Torx screws in here. just overall, the machining is pretty high quality on this knife. I really don't have anything else to say. If you asked me today, would I buy this knife here? I honestly don't know. I'm on the fence. I know a lot of people love this knife, but again, I'm looking at this as a $500 to $600 high-end production customizable knife. There's a lot of knives you can get out there in the mid-tech to, you know, lower end, entry-level custom ballpark for that $500 to $600. You can even get some pretty decent customs for $600, so, or $550, $600. So I'm torn on that. The shape has grown on me. The fit and finish is excellent. The quality is excellent. I'm a little bit on the fence about the price. The lockup has me a little bit leery. As I said, you can kind of see it there. I show it to you both ways. The lockup has me a little bit leery as far as this being a titanium flipper frame lock, and being that this would probably, if it was in my pocket, be used as a more heavier duty use knife. The grind is excellent. The edge is pretty doggone dull. And I didn't test it out here to the end, but I'll show you out here. It's the same deal. Overall, it's a quality knife. It's got some refinement that's necessary. I definitely think that Mr. Koenig is on to something, but I think there are a few things that might need to be tweaked for my taste. So I'm sure you didn't expect this from this review. Everybody seems to love this knife. It's a very popular knife. It's hardly ever in stock anywhere, but I've shown you the things that I'm concerned with, and I can demonstrate them here in the video. So you guys tell me what your thoughts are on this knife. I look forward to hearing from you. Hope I didn't ramble too much, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Like I said, I'm probably going to try to cut in some thoughts here in a second about this pocket clip once I put it in my pocket. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back in 1 second. And let me jump into one more thing. This knife coming off the line last month, it surprised me, even though he didn't say when he was going to release the lightning pockets to all the models or all the Arius models, but it kind of surprised me that this knife coming off the line last month does not have lightning pockets in the handle. Again, this knife was $599.20. So just saying. Well, I figured I would just show you guys the knife in the actual pocket. So this is how it looks. I have it in my left pocket because, as you can tell, my right pocket has the typical problem that most knife guys' pockets have. It's pretty eaten up, and I didn't want that to demonstrate or not demonstrate how well this knife works. So it goes in pretty easily. Comes out pretty easily. The tension is pretty good. The one thing I noticed is if the pocket is a little bit slack, it kind of binds up right here in this indentation. But overall, I think it functions very well. I don't really care about, you know, deep carry clips or knives that stick out more than people think they should. I'm perfectly fine with this, but that shows you kind of what it looks like in your pocket. Again, that's in the left pocket of my pants. I know most of us are right-handed, so I will show you, but keep in mind that this pocket is pretty shredded, so don't hold anything against the knife. There you go. You can kind of see how it looks in my right pocket. My right shredded pocket. So that's how it would look in most of you guys' pockets. Again, appreciate you guys watching. On the fence about the knife. It's high quality, but I don't know that it's worth $550, $600. So take that for what it's worth. Again, I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Catch you in the next video. Remember, a lazy man carries a dull knife.